10,000 XRP could change your family's life forever. There's a post here by Rob Cunningham talking specifically about that. Let's dive into this. We also just passed $1 billion into spot XRP ETFs. How much is expected to go into them in December, and how much XRP is really left on some of these OTC desks? We also have a ton of other information here. We got a good new video here from Sal Galberti and this gentleman talking about XRP, but let's start here. The 10,000 XRP family generational model. How one wise decision reshapes 100 years of a family's destiny. Year zero, the family foundation. The founder accumulates 10,000 XRP. Price today doesn't matter. The starting point is the decision. The family rule: we will never sell XRP. We own, we stake, we borrow, we build, we teach. Year 10, XRP at 1,000. Now you hold basically $10 million. You're officially a decamillionaire on paper without selling anything. Income scenario 1, simple passive yield, 4% annually. In this is conservative for institutional staking, lending in a mature XRP world. 4% yield on 10 million is $400,000 a year, and you still own all of your XRP. That's $33,333 per month for doing nothing but holding an asset and being patient. Income scenario 2, borrow against your XRP like the wealthy do. You borrow 10% of your collateral value, $1 million loan with 3% interest, using that asset as collateral, not selling, using that capital to buy rental real estate, start a business, fund an education, acquire more assets, help your children in any way, or invest in yield-bearing instruments, maybe like the stock market or bonds. The wealthy always borrow, almost never sell. You do exactly the same thing. Income scenario 3, mixed strategy, yield plus borrowing. 400,000 per year, yield 1 million borrowed cheap capital, both with zero sales of XRP. After 10 years, your family is living a banker lifestyle, not a consumer lifestyle. Year 30, XRP is at 5,000. Your original 10,000 XRP is now worth $50 million. That's a 50 million built from patience, discipline, and vision. You didn't sell one token. Income scenario, 4% yield is 2 million per year. I'll take some of that. Whoo! That's $166,000 a month. Think about it. What is your rent, your car? Well, you probably have a nicer car, but what is important in your life? And what do those bills add up to? And what do you need to live comfortably? What do you need to live beyond comfortably, right? To have those extra things that you've wanted, and you go buy in the store and you look at it, you're like, man, I'd literally love to have that, but right now things are a little tight. I'd rather buy a little bit more XRP, right? I've done the same thing, right? Do I buy this or do I buy more XRP? I have that crisis every time my wife takes me to the mall. I'm like, do I buy her this or do I buy more XRP? And of course, sometimes I buy her that because it's my wife, and sometimes I buy more XRP because I need to. This is the kind of generational cash flow families use. I know you know what I'm talking about. I'm sure some of you have gone through the same process in your head. We took a left turn right there, and it's all good. End of poverty in the family line, fund education, purchase property, support ministers, missions, and charities. I know it's really popular for my dad and what he wants to do. Build organizations and businesses, eliminate debt traps, create opportunity for generations to come, and you still hold every single XRP. Income scenario 2, borrow against the asset. Borrow 20% at 30 year, 10 million at 3% interest, collateralized, not sold. With 10 million in cheap capital, a family can buy commercial real estate, fund multi-generational family businesses, build a development company, acquire farmland, invest in infrastructure, build a school, an academy, a foundation, create an endowment, fund philanthropic missions. Your XRP remains intact, untouched, sovereign. Income scenario 3, family bank model. The family establishes a family trust, a family bank entity, a lending and yield strategy, educational systems for future generations, annual life cycle, 2 million in yield income, 10 million collateralized credit line, and 0 XRP sold. This becomes a 100-year engine. The true power, the mindset that generations learn, your children and grandchildren will learn how to own assets, how to never sell the golden goose, how to live off your yield, how to borrow smart, not sell dumb, how to think like a banker, not a consumer, how to serve, build, steward, and multiply, how to use patience as a superpower, how to avoid the traps of debt, inflation, and scarcity. This is how families rise from working class to stable, stable to prosperous, prosperous to generational sovereignty. I thought that was a really heartfelt post. Thank you, Rob. Let me play this.
Every family has one turning point, one decision that changes the next 100 years. For this family, it began with 10,000 XRP. Ripple and XRP isn't hype. It's commodity like money, it's like gold in your hands, except faster, liquid, borderless, and immutable. And this father taught his family the most powerful lesson. We never sell the asset. We become the bank. 10 years later, XRP reaches $1,000. Their 10,000 XRP becomes $10 million in assets. No selling, just time, patience, and discipline. With a conservative 4% yield, the family now earns $400,000 per year or $33,000 per month, still owning every single token. They borrow against their XRP, never selling the asset, just as wealthy families do. A $1 million credit line at a low interest rate funds real estate, business creation, and opportunity for everyone under the family name. Now, fast forward 20 more years. XRP reaches $5,000.
I personally think XRP could be a lot. In the next 20 to 30 years, I think XRP's value would be astronomical. I think it would be way past these numbers. That's just my personal feeling. I don't know that to be a fact, but just the way that the world's going and tokenization and the role that Ripple and XRP are going to play, I'm thinking a lot.
Original 10,000 tokens, now worth $50 million. 4% yield alone produces $2 million per year. Free cash flow, enduring wealth, a legacy of strength. And they still never sold a single XRP because this family understood money changes, systems change, but principles don't. They taught their children how to own assets, how to borrow wisely, how to create instead of consume, how to think like a sovereign, not a servant. 3 generations blessed because one leader had the vision to plant seeds and wisdom to keep them. Leadership, vision, and patience changed the destiny of an entire family line.
That was powerful. And I mean, he's not wrong on any of this. And I thought that was a really good post to share with you. I hope you guys got some value out of that. If you did, you can follow Rob Cunningham here. This is his Twitter handle if you're interested, okay? How I plan to get 10% back in XRP every month through Uphold. Check this out. The card with the most XRP rewards. Introducing the Uphold debit card, earn up to 6% on everything that you buy. Also, you can get another 4% by doing direct deposit through Uphold. Bundle with direct deposit for up to 10% back in XRP. Turn your paycheck into even bigger rewards. When you set up direct deposit with Uphold, you earn up to 4% back in XRP every time you deposit a portion of your paycheck. Pair it with the Uphold debit card, which gives you 6% back. And every time you purchase, you can stake up rewards up to 10% in XRP. We all need strategies as we go forward. Earning XRP for everyday things that you're already doing sounds good to me. If you want more information on how Uphold can supercharge your XRP holdings, there'll be links down in the description. Let's get back to the video. XRP ETF just hit 1 billion assets under management, a major moment in XRP's journey. Spot ETFs have surged past $1 billion in assets under management. Everyone is staring at the chart and complaining about red candles, but the story that actually matters is unfolding below the surface. Almost $500 million XRP is already locked inside regulated ETF structures. Exchange Traded Fund. Over $28 million trades through these products every single day. And with zero marketing, zero hype, and zero FOMO flow. I spent years thinking ETF flows were background noise. Then you watch institutions accumulate in silence, absorbing supply while retail complains. And it becomes impossible to ignore. Bitwise and Franklin Templeton are not momentum chasers. They are some of the most conservative, methodical asset managers on earth. They do not position early unless they understand the end game. And here's the end game. Steady inflows, compressed circulating supply, reduced volatility as units exit the open market. Mechanics, price discovery driven by demand rather than emotion. A regulated pipeline that accumulates value day after day, regardless of the sentiment. This is how legacy financial systems are rebuilt. quiet accumulation, locked supply, a settlement asset transitioning from speculation into structure. Every XRP entering an ETF is an XRP removed from the liquid float. That is structural scarcity. That is permanent supply reduction. That is the foundation of price expansion. So the real question is not why is the price low today or slow today? The real question is, what do Bitwise, Franklin Templeton, and other giants see retail? What do they see that retail refuses to look at? And so, just giving you some numbers here, we have seen that 1 billion mark cross. If the pace of December run rate, recent data shows inflows between roughly $12 and $50 million per day, with a 11 to 13 day run rate averaging about $30 to $40 million a day range, with the XRP trading a bit over $2. That translate to very roughly 6 to 20 million XRP per day being pulled into ETF custody. 6 to 20 million XRP per day gone into these ETFs, locked away under structure and key. If this ban simply persists for the remaining 3+ weeks of December, call it 15 to 20 US trading days, funds could accumulate another 100 to 300 million XRP on top of the 400 million already locked. All right. If we do this another few months, OTC desks will be tapped out. Now here's the clip with Sal Galberte. And I'm not sure who this gentleman is, but let's play it.
Let's go all the way to the other extreme, the most abstract, which is XRP Ripple. I've always been fascinated by Ripple because I sort of see it as this interesting, purely financial asset. Like, it's really, my understanding of XRP is it's really a bridge asset for things like big, giant cross-border settlements and things like that. So it's always had this kind of quasi-institutional story under the hood. And now in this much more open regime we have for crypto and its use both in finance and in ETFs, it's catching a bit again. People are starting to understand what XRP does in the ecosystem. Y'all were out very early with the first, I think it was the first XRP tagged ETF of any kind, the 2X fund that you have. Now we've got some other folks coming to market with spot, and I'm sure we'll end up with income and leverage and all sorts of other variations on it. What's your take on
first in America, not first in the world,
where XRP is right now and its sort of potential for real adoption, which I think is what people are really hoping for?
I think the potential for real adoption is more than potential, is being adopted. Ripple has worked diligently. They're very professional over there. They are single-minded in their purpose, and they are building the rails, as they say, across the entire global financial system for the XRPL, so the XRP Ledger, to be used. And of course, you use XRP on the Ledger, you use RLUSD, which is their stable coin on the Ledger, and all the banks, once the
RLUSD, 90% of it is on Ethereum, not the Ledger. Just gotta, Sal knows a lot of things, but he gets some things inaccurate. So I just want to make sure that we understand that most RLUSD is on Ethereum, not the XRP Ledger. I hope that changes as more is built on the XRP Ledger. More liquidity will come into RLUSD on the XRP Ledger. And we hope one day this evens out.
Clarity Act is passed, I think you're going to see use of that ledger explode. I don't think people understand how much is being used right now, or it's being prepared right now. And I don't think I don't even grasp the scale of how big the use of that ledger is going to be once the Clarity Act is passed. And that's really a needed thing. I think that the spot ETFs, where they actually hold the physical, that does help. It takes some supply off the market. We saw it help the Ether price quite a bit when the Ether ETFs came out. I don't know what will happen here. I would think it would provide at least some underpinning. I would think that as more money comes in, the price volatility will go down a little bit, because we've seen that in other assets. So that's something to reasonably expect. But I don't think people understand that the Ripple's a real live use case. Ripple the company has been very disciplined in setting itself up in thousands of banks on all the platforms across the world. As soon as there's clarity in the US for banks to, and let's face it, all the money in the world goes through the US at one point or another, it just does. And once the US banks have a very clear, well-defined regulatory environment in which to play, I think the use of the XRP skyrockets. And so what that'll do to the price of XRP, I don't know. But
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the really fascinating things about XRP to me, is that because it is really designed as a utility token, people shouldn't be thinking of XRP as a thing that you go put money in and then it doubles in value, like what people hope Bitcoin will do, or gold. Right? It's not designed to be a static store of value. It's designed to be this very living thing that gets moved through the economy to help enable the movement of value through other mechanisms, currencies, etc. So there is that question of like, how does increased adoption translate into the price of Ripple going up? I'm with you. My vibe on it is that we'll see the price stabilize and then grind higher as utilization goes up. And obviously, if we get big spikes in utilization, you would expect to see some spikes in the price as well.
I love it when two people get together that know a little bit about XRP, but like don't know everything about XRP. I mean, it's a good conversation. I think it's valuable, and I hope you learned something. WisdomTree report reveals XRP is the only cryptocurrency with sustained institutional inflows across all regions. A new report from WisdomTree confirms XRP is the only major cryptocurrency that institutions continue to buy across every region and every product type, even during the month when most assets saw heavy selling. In Europe, XRP bought in 549 million worth of new money this year. That is more than Ether, more than Solana, which is losing money quickly after its 814 million total, and more than every other single coin, a basket product except Bitcoin. Outside the United States, investors added 252 million into XRP products this year, almost exactly the same amount they added Bitcoin products, which is 268 million, even though Bitcoin products are more than 25 times larger. In simple terms, dollar to dollar, institutions added nearly 25 times more fresh capital into XRP than Bitcoin in these markets. That is the clearest sign possible that investors strongly prefer XRP when they looked beyond Bitcoin. In the United States, the newer synthetic XRP product took in 241 million this year alone, more than the Solana synthetic at 206 million, and far more than any other altcoin product. While Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs in the United States lost a combined 6.4 billion in November alone, money continued to flow into XRP products everywhere. When professional and institutional investors decide where to put new money right now, they are choosing XRP over Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, and every other major alternative consistently across the entire planet, and even during a month when most of the market saw heavy selling. The level of sustained global preference is rare and speaks directly to the confidence in XRP's current standing and the future potential. Guys, they're starting to figure it out, something that we've known for years. Everybody is starting to pay attention to XRP. Where is this going to take us into 2026? I am still trying to buy as much as I can before this thing takes off. Let's just get there together. I'm so excited to be on this journey with you. If you got any value, you can like, share, leave a comment down below. Just thank you for your time. Have a fantastic weekend. It's always a pleasure. I'll see you next time. Bye.